Hi, welcome to week 2 of Mind Your Mindset. And this is part A of week 2. So, the power of certainty. There is a reason why it's important to write your vision and keep it before you. If you know the Bible, Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain so that men after you may read it and run with it. Meaning that your vision should be so scripted in detail that anyone can pick up your journal or open your files, read what you wrote, and execute your thoughts without you being there. It's like a mental blueprint for your life. I believe we have good head knowledge of this or some variation, so you don't even have to know that it was scripture. We've all heard some variation of this. And we know what it means, but many of us rarely write down an entire vision for our lives. I talk about I talked about vision in the previous lesson and how important it is to write it out. The other part to writing the vision is actually keeping it before you at all times, believing it, being certain that it will come to pass. Like live it, breathe it, eat it. It's always on your mind. And I'll be honest, I wasn't always certain about my visions and I didn't always write them down. I wrote notes and had ideas, but not a true vision for my life. Now that I've been intentional about my personal growth journey, I can pinpoint the times when I've been certain about some things, even on those scraps of paper. I can also determine the moments when I had doubts. So you don't have to be on a full fledged personal growth journey. I believe we do things subconsciously. So many of us have written things down, even if it wasn't full visions. We had these thoughts that we wrote down, and we were like, okay, this has to happen. I'm sure it has to happen. So this is now bringing that the subconscious things that we used to do to the foreground. So most of you've probably already been doing this, but now you're going to be more intentional about doing it. So I remember the moment I decided to pursue my PhD. I didn't write out the full vision, but I remember writing something like, I wanted to be in a position where people will listen to me, I can teach what I wanted, and I can do my own thing. And the only thing I could think about was obtaining another degree. Now, at this point, I already had 4 degrees, and I was like, okay, I do not want to pay for another degree. So those were the two thoughts in my head: get another degree, and I didn't want to pay for it. So once I had that thought in my mind, I got into action, preparing to apply, and the idea of going to school for free was always on my mind. Now, although there were some obstacles, I knew without a doubt that I was going to get into school somehow and go for free. I had no idea this how this was going to happen, but I knew it would work out. So there were moments when I thought I wouldn't make it in, but I quickly shifted back to the thought of it had to work out because I didn't have any other options and it felt so real to me. I didn't understand the power of certainty back then, but like I said before, you don't have to know about mindset, in the context of mindset for it to work. I was accepted into school before I knew how I was going to pay for it. But again, I knew I was going to go for free. Within a few weeks, I was introduced to a fellowship opportunity. I applied and I was awarded a 5-year fellowship to pursue my doctoral degree. Now, backtrack, we're going way back in the past for my undergraduate years. I remember one of my college professors saying that she obtained her degree in 3 years as a full-time doctoral student. Now, this was back in my undergrad, so we're like fast tracking, almost a little under a decade later that I still had that thought in my mind. And it stuck with me. So not only did I get accepted into the mathematics doctoral program on a fellowship, I also finished in 3 years because, again, that thought never left my mind. However, like I said before, I can also tell when I'm not certain about a vision or goal. This occurs when I allow doubt to take over. I remember wanting to be a full time consultant after I graduated with my doctoral degree. I knew I had a lot to offer K 12 schools in the areas of leadership and mathematics. But after 3 rejections, I told myself that maybe I wasn't meant to have my own business. I had so many thoughts that all led to doubt. Although I still reached out to schools to submit my proposals, doubt had already set in. So, needless to say, I never started that part of my business. I wasn't It wasn't about my qualifications or my skill set. I wasn't certain that I could be a full-time consultant. No matter how much I verbalized that I wanted to work with schools, I didn't write a vision, and I was uncertain what it would look like to work for myself, because all I've known was to have a career or have a job. I didn't know what it was like to be an entrepreneur, to do your own thing. I also had to become the person I needed to become before those things happened. I started seeing myself when I was getting my doctoral degree. I had started seeing myself as a full-time graduate student at my job, because I was an educator before I went to get my PhD. I started delegating more responsibilities to my team of teachers, and I started getting my finances together to prepare to walk away from a full-time career. So I was actually mentally preparing for the role before it became a reality. However, I didn't really prepare mentally, nor did I take real steps to become a full-time consultant. The only thing I did was I did obtain an LLC, but I really didn't have any systems, strategies, or structure in place to keep that going. I wasn't becoming the person I need to become to have the business I imagine. So you can see, when you are certain about things, you take those steps before you know it happens. When you're uncertain, you can tell when you're slacked or you procrastinate and things like that. As I continued to grow, I realized that the power of certainty started with being certain about who I was in the moment, instead of waiting to make the shift to become that person when all the good things started to happen. So now I want you to think of a time where you were certain about that something was going to happen, and it did. Who did you have to become leading up to the moment it happened? So pause right there. I want you to think about something else before we get all positive, because there's another side to this. I want you to know that this happens with bad thoughts as well. If you are certain that something bad will happen, guess what? It will. So let's not even go down that road. Now, think about a time when you wanted something good to happen, but you started second guessing yourself. It could have been a promotion, a car, a relationship, whatever the case may be. Sometimes we think it didn't work because of the situation, but that's not true. Whatever it was didn't work, not because it wasn't supposed to work. Your thoughts canceled out the request. Remember your vision. Think of the person you must become before you reach your goal. Certainty and doubt cannot exist together. So now it's time to mind your mindset. This is your self-work, and you will see a copy of this in the module. So who are you? Think about the person in your vision. Is that you? How does this person in the vision speak, act, think, etc.? If it is drastically different than where you are now, what are some steps you can take to bridge the gap? Take some time to reflect on that. What are some shifts you need to make? Use the space on the next page to reflect, or you can write this in your journal. If you want, please share this in the Facebook group, because I would love to hear from you. Happy writing.